As you can imagine, with everything that's going on, we have shifted into, and we do this anyway, but we have shifted into storytelling, which has been a lot of fun, bringing on different guests and bouncing off some topics of them or experiences, which is what the show is all about, too. We're going to do that here in a minute as we welcome another special guest into the show. But you're listening to the Out of Bounds Show on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. The SEC Insider Hit this morning is brought to you by Dancing Rabbit Golf Club. Two beautiful golf courses, the Azaleas and the Oaks. Beautiful clubhouse, too. Dancing Rabbit Golf Club, still open and rolling in Philadelphia, Mississippi. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. You can watch the show right now on our YouTube channel. Search Out of Bounds Sports. And we welcome in the head baseball coach at Hale State. He is Chris Lemonis on the Miller Lite guest line. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How's it going?
Oh, it's going well. I think we're plugging away and so on. I hope y'all are staying safe and staying positive and so on. I was thinking about this the last couple of days when your team reached out to us for you to come on the show. And
right.
We've talked to you a little bit about this, your playing days at the Citadel, but that's also where you started coaching.
Right.
Mid-'90s, Citadel. I've been on that campus. I mean, I've been to Charleston a good bit. Super cool place. But do you remember how much you made in 1995 as a Citadel assistant coach?
Probably zero. I was a volunteer for my first 2 years. So I made a little camp money. Probably over the whole year, I made about $3,000. I was a elementary school teacher, PE teacher. So I'd go in at 7, and to get out early, I had to do the stop sign every morning. So I stood on the curb, did the stop sign, taught 7 classes, and went to practice in the afternoon. So that's how I was able to survive. But, yeah, it wasn't a lot back then.
So you were teaching elementary students. That had to be a little – I mean, you were a young dude then. Not that you're old now.
I was right out of college. Out of college.
So you're 22, 23 years old, and you're teaching elementary students. That had to be probably a little bit of a challenge and also pretty funny because you have kids, I have kids. They're pretty funny at that age too.
I loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was hectic because you had to work, so much. And I was actually getting my master's at the time, so I'd teach all day, practice in the afternoon, go to class at night. So it was a really hard 2 or 3 years from you didn't sleep a lot. But I really enjoyed it, my time as a teacher. I have so much appreciation for them. It starts to wear you down over time, but it was I enjoyed it.
So what was a bigger challenge? Your freshman year at the Citadel, going through the rigorous curriculum and everything that you have to do, both academically and what they ask of you and baseball-wise, or that first year out where you're basically just told us that you were juggling about 4 different jobs?
Oh, freshman year at the Citadel was harder for sure. So I didn't come from my dad was in the military, but I didn't grow up thinking I was going to be in the military. And I moved from Houston, Texas to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, junior Christmas. And my high school coach played at the Citadel, and that's how I kind of ended up.
Okay.
Got an academic scholarship to go to Citadel, and we actually went and visited. We made it about halfway through the visit. Just an academic visit, and we left because I didn't want to be there. Like, Mom, there's no way I'm going here. And then I ended up getting a scholarship later, and nobody else wanted me to play baseball, so I decided to go there. So ended up being the best decision of my life, but it was that freshman year is pretty intense, especially when you don't know what to expect.
Right. I can't imagine. So that was going to be my next question is who did it come down to? The Citadel, it doesn't sound like you were fielding multiple offers, so to speak, right?
It was the Citadel or Texas, but I wasn't going to play baseball at Texas. So this will tell you where I stood on the hierarchy. So we walk in the first day with our bags. We got about 30 lockers in the locker room. I look around. I don't see my name. They say, hey, there's more in the back. I go all the way to the back. And in the back is the bathroom, and then they have lockers in the bathroom, and mine was the last locker. When I sat in my locker, I could look right in the commode. So that kind of tells you, where I stood on the hierarchy of our baseball team at that time. So my first year, I was 100% a bullpen catcher, And then I actually played 5 because I had a red shirt because I was awful as a young player, and ended up being a 3-year starter there, but it took me a while. So I could hit, and I couldn't do much else.
So you're a grinder. You're a development guy.
Probably a little bit, I guess you could say. Citadel was all that type of guys back in the day.
Right.
It was just a real hard. It's funny. It's very similar to here. I know we get great players coming in from everywhere, but it's a little bit more everybody hunting and fishing. Everybody, was a real tough, hard-nosed kid that went to the Citadel. Kind of what we get here at Mississippi State. So that's been a fun piece to to get back in and coach.
Chris Lemonis on the Miller Lite guest line, Hail State baseball coach. He joined us on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Now, was Dan McDonnell your age or a year older?
We're the same age.
Same age.
We are the same age. We came in as freshmen together. I just got an extra year to play. So he actually coached me 1 year when I was a fifth-year player, and he got a job. And then the next year I got a job, and we coached together at the Citadel for 12 years and played 4 together. So that's why the night he got the Louisville job, about 5 minutes later, he shot me a text, "Hey, I got the job. Are you coming?" And I just said yes. And never been to Louisville. Same thing. I just don't even interview. I'm a bad interview process because I did the same thing with John. But I had to call my wife and ask for permission. Was about it. But we kind of knew it was coming. But it wasn't about going to Louisville. It was about being with Dan McDonnell and his staff because I just knew how good it was going to be, and it's been that good and more.
Yeah, that's a game changer for you. I mean, yeah, I know the Citadel's a heck of a program, and there's something in the water in South Carolina and North Carolina as far as both big and small programs and coaching trees, and it's really remarkable. But to jump from the Citadel to Power 5, that had to – I mean, when you took that phone call, I mean, that's a total game changer.
When we went there, that's one of the things I tell people all the time. When we went there, it was Big East, so it wasn't really Power 5. And they had won one regional game in like 98 years and at Louisville. But it was perfect timing. They had a great AD in Tom Jurich.
Yes.
They just built a brand-new ballpark. And then, man, he gave us the resources to go. And when you go to Omaha your first year, we took over a team with 14 seniors. So we weren't even sure we were going to get in a regional. And then we go and just have an unbelievable run through the postseason. But, and then since that point, I think it's the winningest program in college baseball, since 2008, type of thing. So they've done an unbelievable job of keeping that thing going. And then going in the ACC made it a Power 5 school.
Right.
So, but a lot of those years, man, we're recruiting against John Cohen in Kentucky and everybody else. And kids would turn you down for the SEC all the time. It was frustrating, but you just had to keep working.
Yeah, I was at the College World Series in 2007. I remember your squad. And I'll be honest, I grew up on MSU baseball, right? So that's all I ever knew. And I grew up on first Castoria in that 81 team, and then when Will and Raffy and Brantley started the run 83, 84, 85, I was 10, 11 years old. And yeah, I mean, I never thought about y'all as baseball, right? So I fly out to Omaha in 07. I knew all about Dan McDonnell because he kicked the crap out of several schools around here in recruiting, starting in around 01, 02 with Mike, and then, going and getting Stephen Head and Holloman and all these dudes. But going out to CWS and seeing y'all take the field, I was like, I know Dan's good, but what is Louisville doing here? Then I saw y'all take BP, and I was like, what in the heck is going on? These dudes can go. So
we were, like I said, we were fortunate. We took over a pretty neat group, and we had a center fielder still like 78 bases. We had, Chris Lemonis was there. He hit 2 balls totally out of Rosenblatt that year. Just totally out of the stadium. So it was a neat group. The neat thing for me was, because I did have Mississippi State background, is we play Mississippi State in 07. And before the game, we're all sitting in there, and it's hot, and we're in this little cramped locker room. And here comes Coach Polk. Next thing you know, you look up, and Coach Polk's in the middle of your locker room, and he was fine. And we had a shortstop who was about 5'3", who wore number 1. He wanted to make sure he knew that he was the best number 1 on the field that day. So, Coach had that about him forever and came by and spoke. And he knew Dan from when Dan was Ole Miss, but I had known Coach everybody knew Coach Polk. I mean, that was the, godfather, So But it was just pretty cool, him coming by, sitting down in our locker room and talking. I mean, they're taking BP. He's sitting in our locker room, I think. So it was kind of a neat experience back then.
Yeah. You know what was so cool? Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show, Hell State baseball coach. He joins us on ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And I don't know how much of this you got to do because you were locked in as a coach. But what I thought was amazing, I mean, just incredible about Rosenblatt, and I like TD Ameritrade, but Rosenblatt, the tailgating going on outside the stadium, Chris, and all these houses that they convert to bars, and then these people from Mississippi State and LSU and FSU and all these different teams rent these homes right around Rosenblatt. It gives it like a college football feel, Chris.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was pretty. I just remember pulling up for the first time, and you kind of see it up on the hill, and your car's pulling up, and you're like, man, that's it. It had that. I mean, I've done TD Ameritrade just because in the Big Ten we played our conference tournaments in there. You've done it enough to where it doesn't have that feel, but Rosenblatt used to have that, like, wow, factor. And it was in that area. We all came up in that area when they just started showing it on TV, and it was a big deal to be able to pull up and go. And as another team, you wanted to play Mississippi State, not because they were a bad team, is Mississippi State or LSU were packing the house with their fans.
Right.
Even back in the day, you knew
that game was packed.
Like Louisville, we didn't bring a lot of fans. Like we just didn't have a fan base at that point in time. But you wanted to play because I remember looking up and the whole place was maroon. We played that day, or when you're playing some of these programs that have been there year after year, it's they show up in Omaha for sure.
Yeah, that's Rosenblatt was special. Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. I got to watch some of that game with Wayne Graham, which I thought was incredible, because we had him on the show once, and what he did at Rice was crazy impressive. And I remember being in this little suite off the press box with Wayne Graham and Augie Garrido walked through, Chris. Yeah. And I thought, I'm around, like, celebrities. This is incredible. So
it's pretty cool. I used to, growing up in Houston, Wayne Graham was a JUCO coach. I'd go to camps. He had been that guy coached forever. He just, I was a little kid growing up. You'd go to Wayne Graham camps, and San Jack was so big back in the day, and that was the big programs, and he just, what he did at Rice, like you said, is pretty amazing. For that couple-year period, they were the best in college baseball.
Yeah. Yeah, when you only have 3,000 students and you can find a way to carve out, a couple of dozen baseball players, and with those academic standards, it's pretty darn impressive. Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show. So why do you think Dan is so successful? What can you peg one thing? Can you you've known him forever. You coached with him. You played with him. Like you said, y'all went to the CWS. I didn't even know y'all played baseball. You went to the CWS in your first year. That's incredible.
Yeah, pretty amazing. It blew us away too. Like I said, we were fortunate. You take over a team with some really good pieces, but I think the biggest thing, Dan's constantly pushing the envelope. Once more out of the players, once more out of the program. Very motivational type of coach. So you're constantly getting that. And then just the system he set up in terms of just player development and putting good coaches around good players, I think is a big piece. Sometimes you get, some coaches are great recruiters or great coaches, but, being able to get the guy who can do both, I think has been a huge key in his, thing. Because no matter how good the kid is, man, you got to keep pushing them, to get better and improve. And it doesn't always happen. You see it in a lot of programs, and they just get, cut to them and get the next group. And I think over the years, a lot of pride has been in developing the player, which is what we preach a lot here too, is trying to get the guy to the next level.
Sure. Chris Lemonis on the Out of Bounds show. Let's switch gears. Have you had a chance? I know you were, when this all played out with Mike Leach, you were locked in on the 2020 season and your days are filled with practices and then games and so on. Have you had a chance to meet him or even visit with him for more than 5 or 10 minutes?
That's about it. We've been together on a couple occasions, talked for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. He's a big baseball fan, so And he lived out there in the lofts for the first couple months. He had one of the lofts out there, so we'd see him. But not as much with Coach as with his staff. He's got a great staff as they're getting acclimated here to town. And also they also have a little bit of the baseball background too. But it's just the excitement, the energy. You got these guys here, and I think everybody's excited for football season. Hopefully that'll be the next time we get to see some people compete.
No doubt.
But, we spent a little bit of time here and there together. So I know he's busy, and you're trying to get everything done in a short amount of time. That first 6 months of being a coach at a new school is crazy. So I'm sure we'll get to spend more time in the future.
Yeah, I can't imagine. In his book, he references baseball as a big part of kind of how he went from Pepperdine Law School to, well, it was before that, but into football. In fact, Cohen was on the show the morning after he hired him, Chris, and Leach referenced Ron Polk's book in their sit-down interview, and John shared that story. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. Well, that was the one thing I gave Coach Leach a hard time, because he said, I guess when he was coaching, they did the phantom infield, because he said his infielders were so bad he didn't want anybody seeing them take in and out. So you go out there and take I said, Coach, the phantom infield, and he just laughed. He just because I had read his book previous. I read a lot, so. But his is, that's pretty good. And he does have a real baseball background. So it's I think he coached his first couple of years with baseball, coached in the summers. So he's just a very interesting coach. I think it's a great hire by John, and it's exciting. I mean, everybody's excited for it around here.
Oh, absolutely.
We can't wait to get to our first football game.
Where do you stand? You may not want to comment on this. Where do you stand on players getting another year of eligibility, Coach?
Well, and I'll comment, but I think, I'm hearing all the senior this or this. I think everybody should get another year. I mean, we weren't even 20% into our season.
Right.
And in the world of college baseball, we're just so different than all the other spring sports in the fact that we have the MLB draft. And so my biggest fear is my juniors. They play, 16 games, and their whole year's taken away, and then they should get that year back. And same with my sophomores and my freshmen. I think the seniors should too. But I don't think one group deserves it over the others.
Right.
I hear that a little bit, and I know it does cause a problem, but it's not fair to the kids. I mean, you're impacting them economically too, not just sentimentally, like, hey, I want to play another year. It's for guys going into professional baseball, that bargaining year in baseball is more than any other sport. Because if you go look at what seniors get after they're drafted.
Sure.
They get, $1,000, $5,000, and then the guy in the same round the year before who has another year of eligibility, he gets $300,000 because he doesn't have any leverage. And so I think that's a big piece that's being determined. I don't have anything to do with it. And you put, you're hoping, hey, your administrators, your presidents, they're looking out for the welfare of all student athletes and not just making an easy decision to slap on top of everybody. But, that's how in the baseball world, I think that sentiment's across the board.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to a baseball coach who doesn't feel that way because I have some of my young kids had 3 or 4 at-bats. So they lose a whole year because the entire country got a virus.
No, that's a great point.
That's not fair either. So and I think whatever happens, somebody's going to feel like it's not fair because I think the whole country, it's not fair. It feels like right now. So, unfortunately it's bad for, it's just not good for anybody right now. So I understand it's not going to be perfect, but I'd like to see us take care of all of our athletes and not just one class.
No, that makes sense. Chris Lemonis, head baseball coach at MSU, on the Miller Lite guest line and ESPN 105.9 The Zone. As we wrap it up, Blake, you have a question for Coach?
Coach Blake Scott here. So we're going to get back into Mike Leach real quick.
Uh-oh.
You've read his book. Obviously, the swing your sword, all this. He's known affectionately as the Pirate. If you were going to have a nickname in the college baseball circles, what would it be?
Oh, God. I don't know how to answer that one. So that's a tough one there. I don't know.
Okay.
So you'd have to ask probably my teammates
Coach,
coming up.
Would Coach Gotro have a good idea? We'll get him on the phone.
You can get Goat on there. I don't know if Goat would either, though. So, You'd have to go back to like my college teammates.
That's right.
That would probably be. Everybody calls me Limos, but that has no affiliation with the Pirate or anything like that. So he's got a great nickname, that's for sure. The tweet when John announced it was the best tweet of all time I've ever seen. It's still, I'll go back and look at it, and it's pretty awesome, the whole Pirate thing, and with his personality, it's perfect. But for me, I don't have one right now. I'm sorry. So,
that was a great tweet.
You'd have to go back to some old teammates, and they'd probably give you one.
That could happen, Coach.
It could.
Hey, Chris, thanks so much. Uncharted waters for all of us. Hope that you and the family and the team stay safe and be positive. And this too shall pass, and we'll catch up again soon.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Chris.
Talk to you later.
Chris Lemonis on the Miller Lite guest line. How about that pivot to, we had one of the top baseball coaches on the show, in the country on the show this morning, who can go down the Rosenblatt lane and then go down the TD Ameritrade road, among others. Chris is good. He's something about baseball coaches and interviews. Mike's good. Cohen was good.
Well, it's the attitude you are as a baseball coach. It's a little bit more breathing room in a game.
Yeah.
So I think you're naturally a better talker, probably, because you have to be.
That's true. Even when they put the headsets on them during games.
Which is one of the weirdest, like an in-game coach's interview, like while your team is batting and fielding.
Well, I mean, think about how football coaches react when you get them at halftime.
Which is not even like that important. Like, you can give me 30 seconds. Like,
sure.
But they act like you've just asked them.
And halftime's already 10 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Okay? Which is
it looks like you asked them a question at their parents' funeral. That's how they react. Like, it's so ridiculous.
No doubt.
Or Popovich, like too busy to answer a question at halftime of a Spurs game.
Wow.
Like, but baseball coaches, they're like, hey, I know it's the fourth inning. And you're down 4-0. Do you mind coming on the air while your pitcher gives up a bomb?
How do you think you're playing? How do you feel about your bullpen since you're down by 5-1?
What'd you like to change about this game? Well, we're going to try to score.
Right.
Like,
it's a good point.
Okay.
That was fun.
What do you think his nickname should be? Because now I kind of want to have a nickname for all the coaches.
Lemonis is pretty laid back. I say that. I know he's intense as a coach and in his job. I don't know right off the top of my head, but I do want to promo this real quick.
Go ahead.
Our Soundbite Bracket Challenge on bowbounds.com. That's our March Madness thing. It's super awesome soundbite and audio clips from Fred Smoot, Mike Detillier, and Dave Bartu. We want you to go vote. We're in the Elite Eight. The winners of this go to the Final Four. If you vote, if you share it today on Facebook or Twitter and so on, then that's how you enter to possibly win a Four Roses bourbon tumbler, Tito's Vodka dog leash, and a Tito's Vodka dog toy. So share it, and go to bowbounds.com and vote, and we will see you tomorrow. The Out of Bounds Show on ESPN 105.9 The Zone is brought to you by the Mortgage Man, Whit McGee, mortgagemanms.com. He's the guy to refinance your home.